The second half of CERS's 2011 expedition sees the team driving through the salt-encrusted sandy wastes of the Gobi Desert on their way to the calving grounds of the Tibetan antelope. First stop is a remote town to take on extra supplies and vehicles.
Well, yesterday we left Dunhuang and drove the 500 kilometers and more to this oil town, and today we entered the reserve. And most of the heavy stuff are moved to a big four-wheel drive truck that will be essential for taking in 6 huge drums of diesel and gasoline. 12 days of supply and food are all in that big truck. This is the high point for the calving season. Jiang Weibing is accompanying us, and they have intention of looking into the possibility of a domestication program with the antelope too.
Joining the team is a TV crew from CCTV who will document every aspect of the journey from Dunhuang to the Arjun Mountain Nature Reserve. The team sets off, but on reaching a rather ominous asbestos mine, they hit their first problem with the four-wheel drive truck.
Just this morning, it barely was able to get moving. It was going like 10 kilometers per hour. So right now, trying to see what we can do. First is cleaning all the fuel filter, but it seems like they have problem actually getting into high gear, so it's always in low gear.
Unfortunately, the truck couldn't be fixed, and with the mountains calling them, the team had to set off, leaving the truck behind. Instead, they arranged for a new truck to meet them 2 days down the road. But this wouldn't be the end of their bad luck today. The desert had one last surprise in store for them.
Well, we were driving, and all of a sudden I saw the wheel falling off and rolling off the road.
Yes, the CCTV crew's vehicle went from 4x4 to 3x3 when it went off-road, losing a wheel in the process. Luckily, there wasn't much damage, and with the wheel mended, by the end of the day, the team had made it to the outskirts of the Arjun Mountain Nature Reserve. A good meal was the perfect antidote to their stressful day, but the team couldn't help but wonder what other surprises lay around the corner. With 2 days to kill before the new truck arrived, Hao Man decided to take advantage of the situation and explore this part of the reserve. This was a fortuitous turn of fate as the team stumbled upon animals that Hao Man had never before seen in the reserve.
Both of them. One of them is standing sideways. Yes. To the right side of the ridge.
Yeah. Today's highlight is obviously the Agali sheep. At least 8 times I've been into the Arjun Nature Reserve. This is the first time I see them. So that made my day.
The next day, the truck is due, and Xiao Qiao eagerly scans the horizon, looking for telltale dust trails. The team do what they can to bide their time, waiting anxiously to continue their journey to the calving ground. Finally, the lorry arrives. It might be 4 hours late, but it's in much better condition than the previous one, so no one is complaining. It's all hands on deck as they load over a week's worth of provisions and vehicle fuel into the back of the lorry. Without further delay, Hao Man and team set off. Before dusk, they reach their next campsite. It's going to be a long day's drive tomorrow if the team is going to reach the heart of the reserve, so it's early to bed for everyone. And as with the fortuity of a game of cards, the expedition's success still remains uncertain. As the sun rises, the team sets off, with a grueling 12-hour drive ahead of them. Their way is made easier thanks to new dirt roads, which are a byproduct of recent mining activity. And, unfortunately, the landscape pays the price. Later that day, the 4x4 lorry shows its value when the team has to stop to refuel. An arduous process that takes 2 hours to complete. With their tanks refilled, the team sets off again. And by early evening, they reach Rabbit Lake. Nearby meltwater from the surrounding mountains has created a river of clear flowing water. The perfect spot to set up base camp. The next morning, good weather allows Hao Man to explore the valley and reflect on the journey thus far.
From Dunhuang, 5 days to get up here. Yesterday's stretch was 240 kilometers and roughly 12 hours drive. So of course, feels great to be back here. And I think last year, because that we were defeated. It must be already at the height of the calving season. Many of them has given birth already. There's still some roaming around that doesn't have calves, so maybe for the next few days to a week, they will be giving calves as well.
The heart of the calving ground lies just half a day's drive away. Yet the ever-changing weather of Arjin means that Hao Man can never be confident that they'll reach their goal. The following day, the weather has taken a turn for the worst, with snow covering the surrounding hills. Expedition biologist Paul Buzzard seizes the opportunity to continue his research and count the antelope.
From the very beginning, I noticed that there were more antelope here. When we arrived, we could see about 300 right here behind me. And again, in 2006, we would see maybe 500, 700. But this year, first day 2,000, next day about 1,700.
Paul and team also conducted transects throughout the valley, and the results were equally as promising.
My impression is there are many more antelope this year than 5 years ago, which is good news.
Good news for the antelopes, and hopefully good news for the team. As the following morning, with the weather looking favorable, they decide to head out to the heart of the calving ground and witness in person the spectacle of thousands of antelope congregating in one spot to give birth.
Today's July the 2nd. It's our big day, and after the last couple of days of snow and hail and everything. So finally we got a good day. We want to head out. We're going to get to the heartland of the calving part. Then we're going to see huge converging of female, as well as by now a lot of calves. It's going to be a full day work, but I'm really looking forward to it.
After a couple of hours drive, the team makes a sad discovery, which shows they are getting closer to the heart of the calving ground.
So probably just died last night, otherwise the vulture would have scooped in already. Yeah.
Such sights are to be expected in such a harsh environment. The team pushes on. The going gets tougher. Before long, Hao Man meets his nemesis once again: mud. The thick clay consistency of the mud presents a formidable challenge to both the Land Rovers and CERS's experienced crew.
Compared to last year, this year is a little bit drier, but still way too much snow. So once the snow melts, it's still very wet. We were hopelessly mired. Had it not been that we got a tractor from a nearby gold mine to get us out of the trouble. Basically, we're waist deep in mud.
The mud was even a challenge for the tractor, which itself got stuck in the mud for over half an hour. Thankfully, it was able to extricate itself before towing the Land Rover to safety. After surveying the area, Hao Man determined that the mud presented an impenetrable barrier between them and the calving ground.
So it stopped our progress to get to the very heart of it. However, we were able to see still all around the area calving activities. I think overall we get a pretty good idea that the calving ground is still very safe and it is prospering. So we have to be, I guess, satisfied with what we got compared to other years. This is quite an accomplishment still.
Although disappointed, the team is heartened by the fact that antelope numbers are clearly improving, and they believe that this is partly due to the calving ground being so remote and inaccessible.